Hey everyone, it's a Thursday afternoon or morning in Bel Air. I forget where I am today. And I'm showing you the kind of not so pretty side of real estate, sewer line inspections. And I'm here, we couldn't find the sewer line clean out, so the chief inspector, Edward Phaeton, who I've used for many years from La Roca Sewer Line Inspection, came out and basically for a sewer line inspection, let me kind of back up first of all. Starting about 6-7 years ago, with the advent of the new camera systems and things, buyers and inspectors started doing sewer line inspections. And a sewer line inspection is a pretty important thing because sewers, if they're broken or compromised, particularly older ones that are made of clay pipes, can have root intrusion, can be broken, can be compromised. And you know, if you have to replace a sewer line or fix a backed up sewer line that comes into the house, it can be very expensive. So typically buyers come and they check out the sewer line. And it's usually done via what's called a sewer line cleanout. So typically in the front or sides of a home, close to the street where the sewer connection is, a cleanout that comes out of the ground, where in the event of a backup, the sewer company can come out, send a jet, what they call a hydrojet, through the line, and with little blades to cut all the root intrusion in the main line. But in this particular case, the original inspector could not find the clean out. The head of the HOA and the engineering department couldn't find it. They were not on the city plans or permits. So luckily they then hired my inspector, Edward Phaeton from La Roca, who is the best. And right away he had what we needed to do, which was to remove a toilet in the house. They sent the line through the toilet and he scoped the entire line for 79 feet, right?
And right there is the clean out buried in the front yard.
And he found the clean out, and what I learned today, which is interesting, once he sent the camera down there and he's like, oh, that's the clean out, I'm like, how do you figure it out? Well, they have a separate tool that's a sensor, and I guess the head of the camera has a little thing on it?
Yeah, it has a sonde.
So the head of the camera has a sonde on it, I've heard the word sonde, and there's another machine they have above ground where, kind of like a gold detector, as it was getting close to the camera underground, which was 8 feet, it was beep, 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 beeping, and that way they could mark it, and we know now that there is a clean out in the front, buried under some plants that have been growing there for maybe probably 25 years. So, but the good news is the sewer is clean, but this is, if you've never seen it, it's not pretty, but that's what it looks like going through a sewer line. Right, Adrian?
I just came now.
And that's the one thing about real estate, you're always learning something new. I've done many sewer line inspections, but interesting
It looks like a
today.
tire.
It does. Oh, there we go. There's the camera lens. Isn't that pretty?
You should have the head honcho last week.
It wasn't my
It
choice.
would have been done.
If it was my choice, Edward would have been here the first time. So anyways, guys, sorry to show you that kind of ugly part of real estate, but that's important to know, that as a buyer and you want to check something out, the sewer line, it's a good thing to do. There can be surprises, and in my experience, maybe 20 to 30% of the time, we do find issues with the sewer lines. I know myself at one of our apartment buildings, we have a 1911 construction property in the South Pasadena area, and we have lots of big trees around the property, so and it's old clay pipes, and clay pipes are basically just connected by pushing them together, and at the rings of those clay pipes, roots get intruded, and that causes the sewer line to be filled with roots, and then the water and sewage can't go through. So in our property, we're going to have to replace that whole clay line, and I think about 30 feet. We're actually not going to replace it. We're going to do a new thing called a sewer liner. But it's about $25,000 to replace, 25-30 feet of the line. So my little advice is, when you're buying a house, make sure to get a sewer inspection. It doesn't cost much. It's about $350 for the inspection, and that way you know what you're buying. And it's always important to be an informed buyer. Look, every house has issues, whether it's a brand new house or an old house. They all have issues. So inspect, educate yourself, learn, hire a great broker like me. You want me to be your broker when you're buying, and that way you know what you're buying and you can make an informed decision. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hey Julia, how are you? By the way, where's everyone watching from? Anyways, thanks Graham, I appreciate that. I like giving information out as to how different things work, and actually I'll just show you this house. Let's see. So, you can see here, all the beautiful greenery. So the connection is somewhere there under the plants that have grown over the last, 20, 25, 30 years. So the bottom line is, the first inspector that came was not my inspector, and he couldn't find it. Didn't have the proper equipment, couldn't find it. And so when the buyers wanted to do a reinspection, by the way, it's my listing, so I didn't have a choice in. Then I said, well, who you call sewer line? I'm like, oh my God, they're the best. And I said, who's the inspector? Edward Phaeton. He's the senior inspector. And of course, I've been here for not even 20 minutes. In, out, done, discovered. We figured it out. It's all good to go. So, it's a beautiful day in Bel Air. This is Bel Air Chris, the Canyon Homes. They range basically from about $1,850,000 to about $3.5 to $4 million in this particular section of Bel Air Crest. And then the other section, which is just the other side of the hill, behind these houses, properties go up to about $17 million. Just recently, Kanye and Kim Kardashian sold their house that they bought a few years ago for $17.1 million to a Russian heiress. So anyways, the beautiful Canyon Homes, and I'll have to tell you, Bel Air Crest Canyon Homes, these are all between 2,400 to 3,500 square feet, are absolutely the best values, in my opinion, in Los Angeles. I'm going to get a beautiful home like that. It's almost 3,000 for, under in a gated community, and one of the best gated communities in Bel Air. You can't beat it. And I always say, buy the cheapest, lowest price home in the best area. You can't go wrong. So if you're buying for 1.8, 2 million in an area where homes go up to 17, that's a pretty sweet deal, right? Hey Jay, thank you. Hey Michael, how are you? What if you won't want neighbors so close? Michael, this is LA, so most properties are pretty close. This is a pretty fair side setback. This is a homeowners association, so it's not as large as in the city, but typically in the city of Beverly Hills or LA, there's typically a minimum of 5 to 10 foot setback on each side of the property. Now, if you're in the very, very expensive neighborhoods and you get an acre or two property, which is hard, Michael, you have obviously more space in between. But these are individual homes, so they're not connected, and they have, maybe 5 to 10 feet in between the two. So that's my little sewer line report inspection today. So see y'all later. Have a great day, everyone.